wasn't even any accidents. It's people driving like idiots. Oh, we're going around a corner. We're gonna slow down to 25 miles an hour. Oh, shit! Really?
Alright guys, so today we're going to do a little bit more work on the winter beater here. What we're going to try to tackle is the alignment. So if we check out this tire right here, you can see that it's pretty flush and straight with the body. We go over to this side, let's see that one's towed in real bad, pointed that way, so we're going to try to track that out. It almost looks like it's a lot, it's like about an inch. We're going to try to get as close as we can. And then the actual steering wheel itself, you can see it's there when that one's tracked out, but when I straighten it out, the steering wheel's upside down for that side. So we're gonna have to fix that. So the first step's gonna be getting the air out there. My air hose is not quite long enough to reach it out to the car there. And I don't feel like moving this car and then moving it back in and everything like that. So we're just gonna wait for the compressor to fill up and wheel her on out. Alright, so now that we got air out here, we're just gonna basically zip these bad boys off real quick. Makes it a lot easier. One down, 5 more to go. Get this tire off real quick. Alright, so we got all the lugs off. Now we're just gonna rip this bad boy out of here so we can see what we're working with. Sorry about that shakiness. Alright, so this is the new tie rod we installed right here. So what I'm thinking is, it looks like it's just gonna have to, I'm pull this cotter pin at the bottom here. I got more cotter pins in there. Pop it out, loosen this head right here up, just to give it about a 1/2 inch more travel. Then I'll put one of the lug nuts, 1 or 2 of the lug nuts back on the wheel, just crank it down real quick, see if it's actually lining up properly, and then we'll move forward from there. So now I'm gonna go grab my pliers so I can pull this cotter pin right here, and then the right size socket for that crown nut right there. You can see it's called a crown nut because it looks like it's got like a king's crown around it, like a castle wall or something like that. Alright, so we're gonna get this cotter pin now. What you're gonna want to do is just grab the end of it with needle nose, twist it around, try to get both of them, pull it all the way around, and then you should be able to grab onto this little nipple and just, then eventually she'll pull out like that. I didn't end up having to break it, I just kept yanking on it, used both hands on the pliers, and it came right out. Alright, we're gonna zip this off real quick, and that was easy. Got air tools, make everything nice. So the next thing you're gonna do to get this out, this is a brand new tie rod end. Basically it's been greased once, like you might see a little bit of grease on the top. That's just because it's re-greasable, and I filled it all the way up. So what we're going to try to do is not break this when we're actually getting it out. So the easiest way to do that is just bang on it with the hammer here, but not hit this seal right here. You can give it little gentle taps from the bottom there, but you don't want to hit that too hard or else you'll mess up the actual ball joint itself. So I'm going to do that off camera since it's a little delicate, but yeah, just smash that real good right there with a couple taps, and then a couple little baby love taps up there. Obviously a little bit harder than I'm doing them, and it should come right out. So eventually you'll see it kind of break free from there, and then you just kind of tap it and you see how it's coming right out. So what we're going to do now is just pull that all the way out, and then we'll start to loosen this out until we get it to the right length where this rotor right here looks to be in alignment with the chassis. So we're going to do that. We're just going to eyeball it. I'll grab my tape measure here in a minute to actually get it right ish. I say ish because it's not going to be right until we take it to a shop, obviously, because they use freaking lasers, and my eyes aren't as good as lasers, but it'll get it to the shop, and that's my goal. Alright guys, so we loosened this nut right here, slid it as far back as we could, and we're pretty freaking close. It looks like all they're going to have to do when they actually give it a proper alignment is just a little bit on the other side, but this side might need a little bit more readjustment too, so I'm just going to get it as close as I can. It looks like it's within a degree now, and before it was like 6 or 7 degrees out. So I mean, it'll wear a little bit unevenly the way it is now, but the good thing is I'm only gonna drive it like a block to bell tire, and then we should be good to go. So woohoo! So the install is very similar to the removal. Get this nut screwed on here. I'm gonna impact it down a little bit, but not too much to pull this boot through or anything like that. You don't wanna hurt it. So we're just gonna grab it on there and pull it down. It's nice and snug. And then what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna look through it. I don't know if you can really see this here. There's actually a pin through there. See that little hole? And you can barely see it. It's not one to focus. There's a hole in there, and that's what you're gonna stick that pin back through, the cotter pin. And then you're good to go. Little quick DIY alignment, just good enough to get it to the shop. So guys, for the cotter pins, instead of spending a decent amount of money on them, I recommend just going to Harbor Freight. This is enough cotter pins for me to basically do tie rods for the rest of my life. There's 100 of each size in here. Actually, there's 150, the smallest, so on and so on. They get smaller and smaller as they get bigger and bigger, but that's a cotter pin for a tractor right there. But yeah, definitely, this thing was $5 at Harbor Freight. Money well spent. I don't think I'll ever run out. 555 pieces. So then the next thing, we're gonna just shove this cotter pin back in here so we can see that little hole. We're just gonna try to, hey, it fits right in. We got the crown nut perfect on there, nice and tight. I impacted it good. This is basically just a safety for it. We're actually gonna go with a slightly smaller cotter pin, but what we're gonna wanna do is take your needle nose, just bend that back around. That way you've got something else, because this is your steering, so this is like, you know, last mechanism of defense. That's why it's got the crown nut, so it'll hold on those teeth. But yeah, definitely really important. Make sure that's tight. So when you're putting these back on, you're always going to want to start threading them by hand. The last thing you want to do is cross thread these, or else you're going to be in for a world of fun. And when I say fun, I mean you're going to have to buy a bunch of crap. And we all don't like to spend a bunch of money we don't need to when we can just hand tighten them like that. Yeah, we'll run them all in there, just real light. That, put the key on top. And when you're torquing these, you're always going to want to go in a star pattern. So like you're going to go just like that. So I'm going to impact these on real quick. Obviously, you're always going to want to check these with a torque wrench before actually driving on the road, but you can't do that until they're on the ground. All right, so we got the wheels back on real quick. Everything's looking good to go on that. Now we're just going to try to adjust our steering wheel so it's a teeny little bit more straight. It's still going to be a little off, but we'll get it. All right, so now we're gonna pop the steering wheel off real quick. Well, actually, we're gonna pull this airbag off first, and then we'll be able to access the giant bolt that's underneath. So if you're looking at this, don't try to take these off. Those are just for decoration. There's two plastic covers down here. There's one here, and then one on the other side of the steering wheel right here. It's gonna be behind the steering column right there. And those are 10mm nuts. Just pop the little covers off, unscrew those, your airbag's gonna pop out, and I'll show you what it looks like underneath when we get there. All right, so once you've got that out, the airbag has a connector here, and then this is the cruise control connector. If you have a Mazda Speed Protege like me, you're not actually gonna have this on your steering wheel. This is a Protege 5 wheel. I plan on hooking into the harness and adding the cruise control module. That way I can put cruise back in the car, because it's kind of weird that, you know, the luxury version of the car with all the performance stuff didn't come with cruise control, which to me is a critical feature, especially if I'm going to end up, you know, driving it to Vermont this winter and shit like that. So yeah, we're going to work that out. By the way, the airbags are made in Japan by Mazda themselves. They're not Ford airbags. I know someone was saying that online. But yeah, what we're gonna do, we're gonna loosen this. We're gonna use these marks right here, cock her straight, and then we should be close to alignment at that point. And then the shop should be able to handle the rest. You're not going to want to pull these out. These are just holding the leather part on the steering wheel. If you wanted to take the steering wheel itself apart, that's what you would do. But I see no reason to do that. Even if you're installing an aftermarket hub, you're going to just pull this ring off, and then your hub's going to install to that directly on the other side. I'll show you once we get it off. Airbag connector, you're just going to push on that until it pops out. I can't really show it on camera, but that's exactly what you're going to do. You got to just push up on that, and then until, oh, right there, it pops out. So you're going to push up on that with your end, and then grab with your other hand to kind of help it forward. Then your airbag's free. Free. And then now we're going to access this nut and straighten it up. Alright, so that's a 21 mil nut. We're just going to throw the impact on there, try to hold it with our knees the best we can, and hope for the best. It's already off. Oh, and of course it fell over by the seat, but we'll grab it. So now this part's actually kind of tricky. So the steering wheel, you got to kind of shake it back and forth. The only problem is now I have to disconnect the damn cruise control. There we go. Alright, so now the steering wheel's off. So what you can do with this, the steering column right here shouldn't move with this. Alright. I'm sorry, like that. There you go. So then you align this right here, and if you see, there's a little arrow right there that corresponds with the top. So that's where the top of your steering wheel is going to be. So if you're taking this apart any other time, you're going to want to make sure you leave this butted just dead center on there. The only reason mine's so off is because I put in a manual steering rack, so it's a little bit custom. So yeah. Alright, so now we have actually got it on nice and straight. The wheels are straight. I got out and checked. So now we're just going to refasten down that nut and try to make sure it doesn't spin with it. That's why I like to use an impact on this, just because it's going to be that high, that hammer and screw at the same time, so it just kind of down on there. It doesn't really spin it very much. Alright, so then we got a nice straight steering wheel. Nice straight tires over there. Oh yeah, dude. We're in business now.